I want to talk to you about how listening to your body can actually help your relationships. And the reason I'm jumping on this topic right now is because I just went for an amazing run by the ocean, and it was what my body was telling me. Now, a lot of the time we think our relationships just have to do with our emotions. And this is something that I was talking to a colleague of mine today, where in my program, The Gauntlet, or in the work that I do with therapy, a lot of the time people are very, very emotional, and a lot of the times they've been branded as too much by like their partners, or people have said like, oh my god, you're always crying, or you're always anxious and you're always afraid. Now, these are not conditions which are just a chemical imbalance in the brain. Now, no doubt there is a chemical imbalance that's created, but the reason it's created is because of a very strong dysregulated nervous system. Now, what takes a dysregulated nervous system? So think about in a relationship, right, where you explode when you're with a partner, or if you're like, you take something very personally, like you internalize somebody else's like actions, emotions, when somebody else shows up or doesn't show up for you. Now, a lot of the time that you may think is because of like, oh, it's just because I'm sensitive. Now, the reason being, and this is a lot for a lot of you empaths who are out there, being an empath is beautiful, being empathetic is beautiful, but if it comes at a massive cost of your own energy, and it comes at a massive cost of your own peace of mind and your emotions, then that's something you need to pay attention to and look into. That if you have a dysregulated nervous system, you are probably more prone to emotional reaction. Now, this emotional reaction can be crying heavily, this can be getting really angry, this can be getting really anxious. One of the biggest ones that I've noticed in North America, predominantly an individualistic culture, I'm not going to go into cultural conditioning, but in a place where having an emotion or discussing an emotion or understanding the emotion is not safe, what happens is you either shut down the emotion until it explodes, or you need to bring out the emotion so you think you can be heard. So why am I talking about this topic of listening to your body? Because if you find that in your own relationships with your partners, you are someone who feels like you're not heard very often, someone labels you as being too much, someone says you get angry a lot, someone says you cry all the time, or even if you find that you're anxious all the time and you're on medication. I had a couple of my students, I've actually had so many students come through the program who've actually gone off of medication because they have learned the art of being able to control and regulate their own nervous system. When you regulate your nervous system, you're now almost reversing the trauma that happened to you when you were a child or when you were in your parents' womb, because you're teaching your nervous system not to just absorb and be erratic, you're teaching it to be calm, you're teaching it to regulate yourself. Now, there's no doubt that medication can do that, but medication is basically a chemical substance that you're ingesting into your body to make a temporary alteration. So as I have nothing against big pharma and like the medical industry, but they know that this is a system that can get you hooked, which is why you have to continue this process. So you got to bring it back and rope yourself back in to say, okay, what is it that I can do for myself that can help regulate my nervous system so that I can show up much better for myself and therefore for my relationships. Your relationships with your partners, relationships with your kids, relationships with your friends. If you have a more balanced nervous system, you get triggered so much less. Think of the concept of what the word trigger means, right? To get triggered is I'm getting agitated by something. Now, there's various things that can regulate your nervous system. Things like dopamine can make you feel really good and give you like a short-term high, which is why, unfortunately, a lot of people get on the other cycle, on the other end of the circuit of drugs or chemical substances, which give you that feeling of that rush of dopamine, and then again, get addicted to it. So you have to ask yourself, what can produce these levels of serotonin, dopamine, all the endorphins within my body within a normal, regularized manner so that I'm not pulled up and down all over the place? And my biggest suggestion to you is something I need to use. I have a meditation routine of an hour and 20 minutes every morning, which includes stretches, which includes like breath work, which includes deep meditation. So I get into like a theta brainwave state. This is not so I can be Buddha, also I can sit on top of a mountain, also I can sit and preach. It's just to make sure that my agitated nervous system, which I inherited, I can be able to control it and manage it. Now, the good side of this is that if you have had a dysregulated nervous system and you are able to manage it and you are able to regulate it, you are capable of so much more. Think about a rubber band, right? So if your nervous system is like a rubber band, and if this rubber band can stretch because, oh my God, it's been through a lot, it's been pulled from this end to this end, if you're able to harness the power of the rubber band, you can now use this rubber band to stretch wherever and however you need to. You can stretch it however you need to in your relationships. So that means you have the capability to be able to witness and hold space for somebody else's pain. with one of my students in the gauntlet. She was recognizing how it was so difficult for her to be able to break through into her subconscious to find out like trauma and like, you know, to be able to access those memories from her childhood, because her ego kept jumping in the way, and immediately she'd start crying or get really angry. And she couldn't explain it. And other people couldn't understand it as well. And she just thought, I just can't do it. How many of us have thought, I just can't do any work. I just can't be able to concentrate. People with ADD, ADHD, that was me. Everybody tells us it's all that, oh my God, you just have the disorder. Okay, where the fuck does it come from and what the fuck do I do? You can't be telling me that the only solution I can have is to take Adderall or some other like medication, which didn't exist. And in fact, in the East or countries like third world countries actually don't have access to it. So how do they manage to be able to create productivity? That's all the stuff that we don't learn through consumerism or through like big pharma and the big medical industries. No like qualms to any of them, because that's not going to create a healthy business, right? If you can depend on yourself, why the fuck are you going to want to come to me? That's exactly the point. So what happens in that space is that they're telling you that for you to be able to find some solution for your body, you have to go to what's being offered over there. But I'm telling you, all the answers are within you, but you have to be able to access them. So breath work, and I took her through this process of breath work where she was getting really agitated even in the conversation with me. I asked her to close eyes, and in just closing her eyes, this is what happens. This is how amazing the nervous system is. And I want to teach you guys this because this is really good for your partnerships. If you find that when a partner and you are having conversation and you keep getting agitated and you keep having a really difficult time, like being able to listen to them, you keep firing back or you're crying or any of those things, what I want you to do is try and close your eyes. Try this trick. It'll blow your mind. Let them say what they're saying to you, and instead of you like staring back at them and getting agitated, close your eyes and just listen. What you're doing right now is you're already regulating your nervous system a little more because you're taking away one of the senses. So you're taking away one of the most powerful senses you have, so you're not agitating your nervous system and keeping it as alert, you're calming it down. When your eyes are closed now, you have to use this. You have to use this, you have to use your skin to be able to sense what's coming from them. You have to use perception. So not only does it make you a better listener, what also happens in this case is you're getting, like I said, less dysregulated, agitated. Now combine that with breathing. While your partner, while your kid, while somebody else is talking, and they're like yelling, they're saying whatever, slow your breath. So a really cool tip, and you can find this in James Nestor's book called Breath. It's an amazing book for those of you who like to read or who like to study science and like the science of like regulation and teaching yourself to heal. That book's phenomenal in being able to like regulate your nervous system through breath work. There's like a billion things in that book's phenomenal, one of my faves. But there's different breath work that can help. What I'm going to teach you is a simple inhalation method and then a long exhale from the mouth. So you just close your eyes, they're yelling back at you, they're saying whatever, you just breathe, nice big heavy breath for 4 or 5 seconds. Start with the diaphragm because that's where you have your vagus nerve and stuff connect. Your vagus nerve, for those of you who know, is a nerve that helps in your with your parasympathetic system, so the nervous system that calms you down. Big deep breath in, and then through the mouth. As you exhale through the mouth, let your shoulders drop, you let your chest drop. You're actually telling your body now to synthesize less adrenaline, which is a stress hormone. You're telling it to synthesize less of that, and you're telling it instead to calm you down, to send in all the other good hormones to your body to relax you. Just watch how differently you will react now to your partner. You will no longer feel like you need to fire back at them. You will no longer feel like, you're as agitated. No doubt that you'll still have a point to make. No doubt that you may still feel offended. But your reaction to the discussion will change drastically. Why? Because you have now listened to your fucking body. Your body is telling you when you're aggravated, it's telling you something. Anger is telling you something. Sadness is telling you something. If you feel like it happens too often, that's also telling you something. All of them are telling you that your nervous system is trying to talk to you and tell you it does not feel good. So instead of just cognitively trying to explain something to someone, instead of just trying to talk it out, which is why talk therapy sometimes is not effective enough, we need to do somatic therapy, which is through the body. We need to feel what we're feeling. We need to let it out, listen to our heart, listen to the gut. If you listen to what your body's telling you in that moment, which is telling you, hey, listen, John, Joe, Stacy, whoever the fuck, listen, your nervous system right now is really jacked. At this point, if you try and have a conversation with XYZ, you're going to pounce on them. You're going to just want to project on them. You're going to try and shame them. You're going to try and judge them. You're going to try and defend yourself in whatever way you can. But what happens if your nervous system is a little more regulated? Then you're saying to yourself, okay, now I'm listening more. Now I'm speaking more of my truth. Now I'm actually asking for my needs rather than shaming someone for not meeting my needs. You see the difference? There's two very strong things in like a difference, and this is what I teach in relational communication, is there's a difference between asking for your needs and shaming someone for not meeting your needs. What we tend to do when our nervous system is dysregulated is we act from the ego. What does the ego like to do? The ego likes to judge, it likes to shame, it likes to project, it likes to blame, it likes to make someone else feel bad so that we can feel better about ourselves. That's what bullying is about, that's what judging is about, that's what projections are about. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. But listening to your body, guys, if this was one of the greatest things that I could give you through like this live and through the conversation I'm doing right now, it is that your body, listen to me. Where's the camera? Listen to me. Close your eyes and listen to me. Your body is one of the biggest and most powerful healing tools you can ever have. It is always telling you through every single part of your body what's going on. Hey, and welcome to the Inner Yats YouTube page. If you like our content, make sure you click the like and the subscribe button so that you get more of these amazing videos that keep coming your way.